Joining us to discuss China's relationship with the Central and European countries, or CEEC, is Remi Piet. He's a senior partner at consulting company Embellie Advisory. So, Remi, we heard some numbers today. Our trade between China and CEEC is on the rise. First quarter bilateral trade up 50%. How would you describe this almost decade-long relationship, especially right now?
Well, it's been a relationship that was very interesting to monitor, and there's obviously, in terms of the terms of trade, compatibility between Eastern Europe that's seen a growth in its middle class, and the production from China, so potential for more exports from China to Eastern Europe. And we've seen this rise, drastically, especially over the last quarter. This number of 50% actually should be analyzed a little more in details. We're looking at a rise in exports, especially from China to the Eastern Europe. There's indeed a rise also from imports from Eastern Europe, but there needs to be a little, a decrease in this gap, so that the countries that work in partnership with China see that this reciprocity is really beneficial to the both states. In the case of that trade between China and Eastern Europe, it's actually very interesting to see the upcoming June Expo in Ningbo, where the focus will be more on looking at potential for imports from Eastern Europe that actually would be beneficial also from China. And that's this kind of partnership that we've seen growing for the last few years, but trying to more make the point of the importance of that partnership for both sides of the equation, and beneficial in terms of trade and investment also.
Now, that big trade expo scheduled for next month, how important are senior Chinese diplomat Yang Jiechi's visits to both Slovenia and Croatia this week, the timing of this, and these face-to-face meetings, when a lot of face-to-face meetings aren't happening right now with the pandemic?
Yes, no, absolutely. It's very interesting to see that the choice of countries also. I mean, traditionally, Hungary and Serbia have been the strongest partner of China in Eastern Europe. You mentioned a very interesting case, indeed, of increased partnership between Hungary becoming the hub for imports from China. There's been an agreement very recently between the Shanghai airport and the Budapest airport onto this line. But there has been a series of other countries that have seen less of an impact in terms of their partnership, and in terms of the impact of their political economy system with further investment. Slovenia and Croatia that have seen a change in their political system, and the recent elections, and rise of other parties that have been more keen on working with China recently. And so there's potentially more interest for China to invest in those countries and trying to find those partnerships. But again, here in terms of the larger picture, especially with the elections coming in Hungary in 2022, so next year, it's important to be able to make the case that those terms of trade and investment will be beneficial for both Eastern Europe and China. There are a lot of potential also from startups and a lot of interesting companies in Eastern Europe that will be very key partners for investment in China and for joint trade, also on the import side of the equation. And if it's not the case, then there will be a lack of trust in the long run in terms of other arenas, such as the 17+1 or others, in terms of working with China as a strong partner, instead of only working inside the European Union or towards another, other trade partners.
Right, Central and Eastern Europe, really in the heart of the Belt and Road Initiative. Let's talk infrastructure right now. Where does this all stand?
No, very important, obviously, to look at it from the infrastructure side. I mean, the perspective here is that the potential is obviously there for more trade routes in terms of products, and also for investment that goes with the building of infrastructure along the Mediterranean. That also, obviously, it makes a key point for the visit to Slovenia and Croatia, two countries that could be very interesting in terms of building of harbors and increase of maritime freights and cargo. That is something that we have to monitor further in terms of the capacity, the interest in terms of working on long-term deal, of being also inside the European Union scope of investment, because both Croatia and Slovenia are EU members. It's not the case of other countries such as Serbia or Albania or others that are into the 17+1 framework. So it is very important for Chinese investors and Chinese companies to understand the political economy of each one of those countries, because the terms of trade and investment are really unique for each one of those countries. So I really recommend people to reach out and be able to discuss and to understand the situation in each one of those countries, to benefit in terms of the global trade and investment between China and Eastern Europe.
Everyone has something to offer. Remi Piet, always great to get your take. Thank you so much for joining us.
Bye.